The rain pounded against the hospital window like a relentless accusation, mirroring the storm raging inside Elena Vasquez's fractured mind. She was Elena Vasquez, the iron-willed CEO of Apex Innovations, a tech empire she'd built from a garage startup into a billion-dollar juggernaut. At 38, she was the woman who commanded boardrooms with a single glance, the one who never begged for anything. Until now. "Please, don't hurt me," she whispered, her voice cracking like fragile glass. "I can't walk." Her legs, once powerful from marathon training and high-heeled power walks, lay useless beneath the sterile sheets. The doctor loomed over her, syringe in hand for yet another painful injection. But it wasn't the needle she feared, it was the helplessness, the loss of control that had stripped her bare. In that moment, Elena wasn't a CEO, she was a broken woman, pleading for mercy in a world that had suddenly turned cruel. It all started 6 months earlier, on a crisp autumn morning in Silicon Valley. Elena's life was a whirlwind of meetings, mergers, and midnight emails. She thrived on the adrenaline, her sharp mind dissecting problems like a surgeon's scalpel. Personal life, non-existent. Her marriage had crumbled years ago under the weight of her ambition, and friends were mere LinkedIn connections. Success demands sacrifice, she'd say, flashing her trademark smile in TED Talks that inspired millions. But fate has a way of humbling the mighty. Driving home from a late-night negotiation, her sleek Tesla hydroplaned on a rain-slicked highway. The crash was a symphony of screeching metal and shattering glass. When she woke in the the verdict was devastating: spinal cord injury. Partial paralysis from the waist down. Doctors spoke of therapy, of possible recovery, but Elena heard only the echo of her dreams crumbling. Wheelchair-bound, she was discharged to a sprawling mansion that now felt like a gilded cage. Enter Marcus Hale, a 42-year-old single dad with calloused hands and a heart scarred by loss. Marcus wasn't supposed to be part of her story. He was a physical therapist at the local rehab center, eking out a living on a modest salary while raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. His wife, Sarah, had died 3 years earlier in a car accident, irony that wasn't lost on him. Sarah's battle with cancer had taught him patience, but her sudden passing in a senseless crash had left him drowning in grief. He worked double shifts to keep the lights on, coming home to Lily's bright eyes and endless questions about mommy in heaven. Their paths crossed on Elena's first day at rehab. She arrived in a chauffeured van, her designer wheelchair gleaming under the fluorescent lights. "I don't need pity," she snapped at the receptionist, her voice laced with the authority that once sealed multi-million-dollar deals. Marcus was assigned to her case, reluctantly. He'd seen her type before, the high-powered executives who treated therapy like another conquest. Their first session was a disaster. Elena gripped the parallel bars, sweat beading on her forehead as she tried to force her legs to move. "Come on, damn it," she growled, her arms trembling. Marcus stood nearby, his voice calm but firm. "Easy, Ms. Vasquez. It's about progress, not perfection. Breathe through it." "I don't have time for baby steps," she retorted, collapsing back into her chair. "I built a company from nothing. I can fix this myself." Marcus sighed, kneeling to her level. His eyes, a warm hazel flecked with gold, met hers. "No one fixes this alone. Not even you." As weeks turned to months, the challenges mounted. Elena's frustration boiled over daily. Mornings were agony, getting out of bed required assistance, a humiliation for someone who'd always been self-reliant. At home, her mansion echoed with emptiness, her staff tiptoed around her outbursts. "Why me?" she'd cry into the night, fists clenched against the unyielding paralysis. Marcus, meanwhile, juggled his own battles. Lily's school called about her acting out, drawing pictures of a family that included a ghostly figure. "Daddy, when will you smile again?" she'd ask, her small hand in his. He pushed through, driven by love for her and a quiet resolve forged in sorrow. Therapy sessions with Elena became his anchor, a place where he could channel his empathy. One rainy afternoon, after a grueling session where Elena managed only a few shaky steps with crutches, she broke. Tears streamed down her face as she slumped in her wheelchair. "Please, don't hurt me," she begged Marcus, echoing the words from her hospital bed. "I can't walk. I can't do this anymore. Just leave me be." Marcus didn't flinch. Instead, he pulled up a chair, his voice soft. "Hurt you, Elena, I'm here to help you heal. But healing isn't just about legs, it's about the heart too." For the first time, he shared his story. Sarah's illness, the crash that stole her away, the nights he begged the universe for strength. "I thought I was done," he admitted. "But Lily, she changed everything. She reminded me that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the start of something stronger. Elena listened, really listened, for the first time in years. In Marcus's words, she saw her own isolation reflected back. That evening, she invited him and Lily over for dinner, not as therapist and patient, but as people. Lily arrived with a bouquet of wildflowers, her gap-toothed smile lighting up the room. "You're pretty, like a queen," she said to Elena, who laughed, a genuine, unguarded sound. Over pasta and laughter, barriers crumbled. Lily's innocence pierced Elena's armor. "My mommy couldn't walk at the end either," Lily confided, climbing onto Elena's lap. "But Daddy said love makes you fly." Elena's eyes welled up. For the first time, she felt seen, not as a CEO, but as a human. The turning point came during a weekend retreat Marcus organized for his patients. Elena hesitated, but Lily's plea, "Please come, Auntie Elena," sealed it. At the lakeside cabin, surrounded by nature's quiet beauty, Elena faced her deepest fear, dependency. A group hike turned into a metaphor for her journey. Marcus carried her over rough terrain, his strength unwavering. "You've got this," he encouraged, as she used her arms to navigate. But the real challenge hit when a storm rolled in, stranding them. Elena's anxiety spiked, flashbacks to her accident. I can't move," she panicked, hyperventilating. Marcus held her hand. "You're not alone. Remember what Lily said, love makes you fly." In that vulnerability, Elena opened up about her past. The absent parents, the drive to prove herself, the loneliness masked by success. As the storm passed, so did Elena's walls. Back at rehab, progress accelerated. She took her first unassisted steps, not from force, but from trust. Marcus was there, cheering, his own heart mending in the process. He realized helping Elena had reignited his passion for life. Months later, at Apex's annual gala, Elena stood on stage, not in a wheelchair, but on her own 2 feet, crutches at her side. The crowd gasped. "I thought success was about power," she began, her voice steady. "But I was wrong. It's about connection, about the people who lift you when you fall." She spotted Marcus and Lily in the audience, his arm around his daughter. "A single dad changed everything for me. He taught me that true strength comes from kindness, from letting others in." The applause was thunderous, but Elena's eyes were on Marcus. After the event, in the quiet garden, he confessed, "You've changed me too. I was just surviving, now I'm living." Their kiss was tentative, full of promise, with Lily giggling nearby. Elena's recovery wasn't complete. She still used a cane on bad days. But the paralysis that once defined her was now just a chapter. She restructured Apex to prioritize work-life balance, funding rehab programs for others. Marcus opened a community center in Sarah's name, with Elena's support. In the end, their story wasn't about miracles, it was about the quiet heroism of empathy. Life's storms may leave us begging for mercy, but it's the hands that reach out in the darkness that truly change everything. And in that change, we find not just the ability to walk, but the courage to soar.